We really enjoy our time in the woods, but once the hunt is over and the deer's home in the tree, it's time to get to work. Now, to save ourselves some money, we do all our butchering at home. It doesn't have to be intimidating. It's a fairly simple process, breaking the deer down section by section. So let's take a look at removing the back straps. The first step in this process is to remove the shoulders. And we look at that process in our video, Shotgun Deer Hunting. Once the shoulders have been removed, you're going to want to continue by removing the flank. Simply take your knife and cut down along the back leg, the inside of the backbone, and along the end of the rib cage. As we work, we'll be placing the meat on a table we've sterilized with a mild hot water and bleach solution. Continue by removing the outer layer of meat from the rib cage. Now it's time to remove the back strap itself. You start by cutting down along one side of the backbone. There's a small indentation here you can follow, and you make the cut from the small of the back all the way down to the neck. Once this cut is complete, make a cross cut in the small of the back. Now, with the tip of your knife, remove the attaching tendon from the base of the hindquarter, and the back strap will begin to fall away. Continue cutting the membrane that attaches the back strap to the base of the rib cage, and then let the weight of the back strap itself begin to pull the meat away using the tip of your knife to release the tendons where they attach to the rib bones themselves. You want to continue the cut, removing the back strap completely down to the neck. And when you're finished, you'll have a really nice cut of meat. Now we have to move it inside for the detail work. So what we have here are the two back straps, and they usually have a layer of fat on them that needs to be trimmed away. So just go ahead and get started with that. It's connected by a membrane here, and you just want to run your knife down underneath that layer of fat and trim it away. It'll come away easily in big chunks, and you're going to want to go ahead and discard this fat. A lot of times it's the deer fat that's blamed for gamey flavor when people are eating venison. Once you get through the layer of fat, you're going to find that there's a thin skin of membrane along the outside of the back strap here. What you need to do is go ahead and thread your knife just under that membrane. Now, like you're filleting a fish, go ahead and run your knife right under there and get that membrane off the meat. You're going to need a really sharp knife to do this with. You will leave a bit of meat behind on the membrane here. Don't discard that side to the side. We'll deal with that later. And you continue this until you have cleaned all this thin layer of silver skin off the meat. Now, as you work, you also notice there'll be little pockets of fat here. You want to trim those away and discard those as well. Now, you repeat the process on the other back strap, and you're going to wind up with some really tasty stuff. Not quite done. What you want to do is, you'll find the back straps are a lot larger at one end than they are at the other. You can trim them down a little bit, even them up. Go ahead and slice off the edges. Just keep those random chunks of meat you get from this process with your trimmings that you want to make into hamburger. You can cut off these little ends here, shorten them down if you want. This stuff here makes great stew cubes. You can go ahead and cut it into stew meat. It's very tender meat. Cut it into little 1-ounce cubes for your stew. I like to section them in half so they're a little easier to wrap up for the freezer. Go ahead and wrap them up and keep them in bulk. It'll help prevent freezer burn. So these backstrap sections are ready to get wrapped and put in the freezer. And we got to turn our attention to the bits and pieces we've left behind. All the meat on the back of these pieces of membrane we shaved off. You can get it pretty close, but you can never get it completely clean when you're cutting it off the backstrap. So go ahead and use your knife and kind of go ahead and scrape as much as you can right off the membrane. And all this here is going to make great trimmings to be ground into hamburger. So the backstraps, tenderloins, they really are one of the least labor intensive parts of the deer to butcher. And the tenderloins are the tenderest part on any animal. Now, these cook up really nice. Michael has a secret recipe for these rosemary tenderloins. You can get that recipe by joining Dana in the woods on an early season archery hunt, and then right after that, Michael will provide you with his secret recipe for rosemary tenderloins. So be sure to check that out. And we're going to keep the videos coming about processing game as the opportunities present themselves. So keep your eyes on www.camochairproductions.com and Sharing the Outdoors on YouTube for more great outdoors action and how-to tips when you do have success in the field. We'll see you again soon.